What about Jeffrey Epstein? I know you wrote a book on that subject. What were your thoughts on him? Obviously, Ghislaine Maxwell's in the midst of a trial right now as well about all of these sex crimes. What did you think of Jeffrey Epstein as a person?
Well, I liked him, as did the president of Harvard, as did the presidents of other universities. He was a charming guy. None of us knew, at least I can tell you, I didn't know what he was doing in terms of women. He kept his private life completely secret. Yes, he would sometimes appear with a 25 or 26-year-old. I remember one of them who was like 28, and he was probably 48. And she was a student at the Harvard Business School, and her father was the president of a bank in Germany. And so we were totally taken in, totally fooled. And then, of course, I represented him. And then, to get money, one of the women who was with Jeffrey Epstein accused me of having sex with her on 7 occasions in places I was never at. At times I couldn't have been there, including in front of my own house in Cambridge. And she claimed she came into my house in Cambridge, where my wife had an office, where my daughter was a young child, just totally made up stories. Fortunately, we were able to get her emails. She tried to suppress them, to try to bury them. But we got her emails, which admitted she never heard of me and didn't know me, and had to be told that I was von Bülow's lawyer and I would be a good person to put in her book. So, she's been exposed as a total fraud. The government isn't using her as a lawyer, as a witness, because they know, obviously, that they can't trust her credibility. But my reputation has been diminished by representing Epstein and then being accused by one of the people in Epstein's circle of having sex with a woman I never even met. So that's life as a criminal defense lawyer.
Go ahead, Jason.
Yeah, I wanted to ask a question and kind of shift gears just a little bit.
I'm sorry, Jason, can I stay on this issue for just a moment then,
okay,
if you don't mind? Just because you were talking about Martha's Vineyard, you run in very elite circles, so just as a basic descriptor. And knowing Jeffrey Epstein and the allegations about Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is that they were running essentially a child sex ring, that they were bringing in all of these underage girls, sexually abusing them. And then that other wealthy, powerful, in some cases, famous people were also engaging in these sexual activities. I imagine you won't be able to say for certain that anybody was, but do you suspect that they were? How far-reaching do you think this sex ring may have been?
There's only one person, this woman, Virginia Giuffre, who claims she was lent out to other people. She said she was lent out to Senator George Mitchell, Ambassador Bill Richardson, Prime Minister Ehud Barak, Leslie Wexner, the owner of the Limited, and a bunch of other people.
Prince Andrew.
But she has no credibility whatsoever. She's a woman. Oh, by the way, her own lawyer said he did an 11-year investigation and no prominent people were involved. This is her own lawyer, Brad Edwards, on CBS, says 11-year investigation, no prominent people were involved. Then he also said that Leslie Wexner wasn't involved, yet she swore under oath that she had sex with Leslie Wexner between 5 and 10 times. So her own lawyers have called her a perjurer. Her own lawyer, David Boyce, on a tape-recorded conversation with me said, it's impossible that she could have met you in the places she said she did. She's wrong, simply wrong. Government knows that, and so the government didn't call Virginia Giuffre. But all the television networks use her as a kind of poster child for what happened and believe her, and yet there's no reason to believe her. There's another woman as well named Sarah Ransom who claims she was a victim. And in her case, she wrote letters, emails to the New York Post to a woman named Maureen Callahan, in which she swore that she had sex tapes of Hillary Clinton, she had sex tapes of Donald Trump, she had sex tapes of Richard Branson, she had tapes of Bill Clinton, and then later she admitted she made the whole thing up. She admitted to the New Yorker that she made up the whole story about sex tapes, and yet 2 days ago, she was on CBS Morning News telling her story with no reference to the fact that she admitted that she lied in blaming Hillary Clinton and others. Nobody has covered the story about these liars. These are serial liars who are making up stories for money. They've made $3.5 million in one case, $5 million in another case for telling these lies, and nobody has investigated them. So there are two stories here. There is the story of Epstein victimizing people. And there's the story of some of these alleged victims now victimizing people and trying to get a lot of money. These are now 30 and 40-year-old adult women who are doing this. So we're not talking about children. We're talking about adult women who are making up stories to collect large amounts of money, admitting that they made up the story, and yet the media doesn't in any way disclose the fact that they admitted that they were serial liars.